Hi, Marilyn.
Hey, Steve, how's it going?
Good, how are you?
Good, honey. So bear with me, this is my first Zoom meeting.
This is me and Jasmine's first go with this commission as well.
Okay.
So everyone, please bear with us as we are learning. We're going through this for the first time. Other town boards have done it.
Yeah,
Marilyn,
Mike helped me out a little bit, so.
so you've got the scripts as far as what you need to read for
We have to wait.
pursuant to MGL.
I do.
Can we just make sure that and Harry
I'm here.
Harry is here.
Eileen, is she there?
Yeah, I'm there.
Okay, we got Harry. We just need
Can you hear me?
I can hear you, Harry.
Can you hear
Okay.
us, Harry?
She did email me earlier asking for the link. I sent it over to her.
Okay.
I'm
Bear
here.
with us.
I'm here.
Oh, you are?
Yeah. Yeah, I'm here.
Okay. If we have all of our commissioners, then we are ready to go, and I will give the floor to Marilyn.
Okay, I'm going to read in for the record, Bridgewater Conservation Commission pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order superseding certain provisions of the open meeting law, GL-30A18, and the governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitations on the number of people that may gather in one place. This meeting of the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will be conducted via remote participation in the greatest extent possible. No in-person attendance of members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time. The meeting is being recorded, and within 48 hours, we will post a link of the recording on the town's website and/or the town's social media page. The following members of Bridgewater Conservation Commission are participating remotely: Marilyn McDonald, Chair; Harry Bailey, Vice Chair; Eileen Prisco, Member. During this meeting, all votes of the board will be taken on a roll call votes. Following Bridgewater Town staff will also be participating remotely: Stephen Slobo, Conservation Agent; Jasmine Farinacci, Executive Assistant. At this time, everyone's mics is muted. The commission's mics will be unmuted through the whole meeting. And as items appear on the agenda, the project representatives' mics will be unmuted. If the project is a public hearing and allows for public comment, we ask that you use the chat feature to ask your questions by listing your name and address in addressing your question. The chair or vice chair will recognize all questions in order. You can also use the raise my hand feature in the participating menu, and you will be unmuted when the chair recognizes you. Again, please state your name and address before asking your question. If you are on a phone, you can dial #9 and raise your hand. Thank you.
Thank you, Marilyn. As Marilyn said, I'm Stephen Salvo, the conservation agent / environmental planner in town. Marilyn, you have a copy of the agenda for tonight's items.
I do.
How this is going to work is we're going to go item by item down the agenda that was posted on the town website. We will open the floor to the applicant or the representative of said applicant to present the project. Then they will hand it off to the commission for their review, potentially my comment, and then we will open it up for public comment. So Marilyn, if you'd like to get us started and call the first item of business.
Okay. Under the meeting, I have old business, notice of intent, South Street, Michael J. Koska, please.
I spoke with Michael earlier, and he said he would be on the call via phone. So I'm wondering if it's one of these.
Uh-oh.
It's all right. We're just sharing the screen so that everyone can see exactly what's on the agenda tonight.
Okay.
Michael, do we have you in the room?
I see his number on the board.
Oh, you
His
do?
phone number. Yeah, the 958-8930.
Can you unmute
Yeah.
him?
Mike,
Hi, Michael.
Hi, members of the commission.
Good evening, Michael.
Hello?
we can hear you, Mike.
We can hear you,
Okay,
Michael.
awesome. Okay. You guys ready to go?
All set?
We are.
Okay. First of all, Marilyn, I'd like to thank you for all you've done helping others risking your health. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mike.
And you're welcome. The last time, for the record, my name is Michael Koska. I represent Meoli Estates on 1968 South Street. The last time we met with the commission, I think it was back sometime in March, and I asked the commission seemed to be set with the plans, but I asked the commission to postpone any decision for the planning board to review so that we wouldn't get into a conflict and they change something that was in the conservation purview. They gave me 8 points. 1 point of which I think affects the Conservation Commission, and under on their letter dated Friday, February 14, 2020 from Elijah, under number 4, it said the limit of clearing associated with the subdivision development should be outlined on the plan. What I did is where the erosion control line is, or silt fence, wattles, hay bales, or a combination thereof, I also put that as the limit of clearing. I had a Zoom meeting with the planning board on April the 1st, 2020, and they closed the public hearing and approved the plan with all of their requisite conditions. I have, and I probably mentioned it before, Natural Heritage. I sent them a MISA, and they came back and they felt that it would not be a take of what we're doing with the project. So at this point, I am ready to ask the commission to vote either to approve or deny or whatever the case may be, whereas I think I've hopefully got everything in order.
All right, I'm going to refer to Steve for first comments.
Yeah, so I spoke to Michael earlier today, and granted it was a long time ago, it was right before all of this started. We were on the verge of closing and issuing an order of conditions on this pending one thing, and that was the review of the planning board. Seeing as Michael has done that, and we spoke about it today, and with the limit of clearing and the erosion control, as it is listed on the plan and shown on the plan, I don't see any additional concerns with this application. Therefore, I'd recommend, and moving forward, especially if we're going to be doing these remote meetings, I'd like to close an issue on the same night so that we can cut down on the amount of time that people have to come back to the board, so that we aren't seeing ourselves voting on an order of conditions in 2 weeks. So my recommendation to the board tonight is to close and issue an order of conditions, utilizing all the standard boilerplate conditions we issue with all of our orders of conditions. I don't see anything out of the ordinary that would warrant special conditions beyond what we typically do.
Okay. I do remember this now before everything started. I have no issues with it. At this time, I'll refer to the remaining members.
I have no issue either. I remember this very clearly.
I have no issue.
Okay. At this time, if there's anybody on the line, again, I'm not too familiar with Zoom, or if anybody in the public has a comment, they may do so. Is that seeing none then, Steve?
Hold on one second. We might just want to give everybody an extra minute or two during these Zoom meetings to actually formulate. So you can either chime in using the hand raise button, which is down on the bottom bar, in the chat, and reactions, you can wave. We will pick up on that, me or Jasmine. And we will unmute you and you can comment. And I will give it about another 30 seconds. If I see none, I will hand it back to Marilyn. All right, seeing no comments from the public, Marilyn, I'll hand it back to you for a roll call vote.
Okay, Chair would entertain a motion.
You want a motion to close, right, first?
Close and issue.
Yes. Okay, so I make a motion to close the hearing and approve the order of conditions.
I'll second.
All right, here in a second, any further discussion?
Hold on one second. We need roll call voting. So you have to state your name and what your vote is,
Okay,
each separately.
Okay, now I'm going to call for a vote. I'll signify with ayes. Roll call vote. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Eileen Briscoe, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
All right,
Thank you.
okay, so that's closed and voted on. All right, can we proceed to the next?
Yes.
Okay, thank you very much for your time this evening, and again, Marilyn, thank you.
Oh, you're
Thanks,
welcome. Stay safe, everybody.
Yep, thanks. You also. All right, bye now. Bye.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Okay, moving right along, we'll go into continue old business, notice of intent, 280 South Street, ECR.
Mhm.
And Steve, I'm going to start this with you. If memory serves correct, I thought we closed and voted on this.
Right, we did. And at the time, so the project basis, I don't know if Brad Holmes is here. I told him it wasn't really necessary for him to be present because we had all but just voted on the order of conditions. There were some special conditions that Jasmine sent along through the email correspondence that were approved at the previous meeting. This simply was waiting for a vote. The applicant has not done any work associated with the application. So I'm looking forward to giving him his order of conditions so that he can proceed with his project. So simply we need to vote to issue the order of conditions with the special conditions attached. And we'll be done with this one as well.
Okay, because we've already had this public comment and everything else, so we can go right into a voting roll call.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, Chair is entertaining of a motion, please.
A motion to approve.
Okay.
Eileen
Second.
Briscoe. Harry Bailey.
Second.
All right, here in a second, any further discussion? All right, hearing none, I'm going to do a roll call vote. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Briscoe, aye. Harry, you want to go first or second from now on?
I was just gonna say that.
Come on, Harry.
Second.
Okay,
All right, so that was, everybody was roll called in with aye?
yes.
Okay, all right, so that's done. That is passed for the record. Okay. All right. I'm gonna roll right into new business if that's okay.
Yep.
That alarm's gonna go off very early on me.
No.
Traffic's still better though, that's always a plus. All right, so we're going into notice of intent, Holly Lane, Commonwealth of Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife.
Do we have Mr. Zimmer here from DFW?
He's the last phone number. I don't have his name.
Is he the last phone number? Is that Mr. Zimmer? No. All right, well,
You want me to table that?
table that for the time being. I'm gonna have to get in contact with him because this one hasn't even been presented properly to you guys.
Okay. All right. So then we'll go right on to next notice of new business, which is notice of intent, 47 Oldfield Road, Prime Engineering, please.
Yep. Is I believe the representative's name is Aaron.
Aaron, are you there?
Yes, I'm here.
All right.
Hi, Aaron.
Hi, how are you?
Good, how's it going?
Good. For the record, my name is Aaron Reardon. I'm with Prime Engineering on behalf of Long Built Homes. I don't know if you guys have to officially say the name and the project and everything.
Oh, Marilyn, did you read the notice of the public hearing?
Oh, my God. No, I don't. Is there one handy? I printed a bunch of stuff off from today from the hospital, but I don't know if Jasmine, did you send all that?
Yep, that was all sent out, but let me see if I can pull it up on the screen. Give me just.
Able to pull it up and all this?
Yeah, if we can pull it up, then Marilyn, you can read it off the screen.
Perfect. Sorry about that.
It's all right.
I knew there was something missing.
This is new to all of us, so.
Read that, Marilyn?
Oh,
already?
God, no.
Do you want me to read it?
Yeah, can you read it for me? Because I can't read it.
Sure.
Too small. Thank you.
Can't see it, yeah.
Yeah.
In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaws, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing is on a notice of intent filed by Prime Engineering, Inc. The applicant proposes to construct a single-family residential dwelling with associated septic system, grading, and lawn development. The property is owned by Oldfield Estates LLC and located at 47 Oldfield Road, Bridgewater, MA, as shown on Assessor's Map 52, parcel 13-C12. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
Thank you.
Jasmine. Go ahead, Aaron.
You are now open.
Okay, so once again, my name is Aaron Reardon with Prime Engineering. All we're doing is outside of the 50-foot buffer, we are constructing the residential dwelling and the associated septic design. And between the 50 and 25-foot buffer, we're doing some grading. This is all part of a subdivision. So we have a previous order of conditions for the subdivision as a whole. So this is just an individual parcel in that subdivision. That's kind of all that we're doing right there.
Yep.
All right, I'll refer to Steve to start, please.
Yeah, so on this one out at 47 at Oldfield Estates, the entire site is approved under a subdivision plan. And as is pretty typical of Bridgewater order of conditions from what I've seen, intent. On this project site, all the erosion and siltation control is in place. There's ongoing work pretty much site-wide across the subdivision. There's constant grading, constant land movement, both in the Conservation Commission jurisdiction buffer zone area, as well as other areas that are not in the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. So there's a lot going on out there, but for the purpose of this filing, it is a single-family home with the associated appurtenances. It meets all the performance standards of the Wetlands Protection Act and the Bridgewater Town Bylaw. Therefore, I recommend issuing an order of conditions with the standard conditions applying.
Okay. I do remember years back being out there. Harry, do you?
Yeah, I've been out there.
Yeah, okay. I have no issues with this. I'll refer to the commissioners now.
I'm all set. I have no issue with it either.
Harry?
I'm all set.
Okay. At this time, I'll refer to anybody that's on the line. Anybody in the public that has a comment on this filing?
Seeing none.
Okay, seeing none, then Chair would entertain a motion.
A motion to approve or a motion to close?
I would do a motion to close and then a motion to approve if that's what it.
I'll make a motion to close the hearing and approve Oldfield Estates. I don't believe I have the lot number in front of me.
No, it's not on here. Might be on something else.
It's on the first page of the notice of intent.
And Harry, did you chime in?
Second.
Okay, here in a second. Any further discussion? I think it was regular standard order conditions, correct, Steve? Okay.
Yeah.
All right, Chair will take a roll call on vote. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry
Eileen.
Bailey, aye.
Aileen Briscoe, aye.
All right, let the record show passed unanimously. All right. Okay, keep going. Next, we're going to go to notice of intent, Mitchell School. I probably don't know if I'm saying this name right. Simodis?
Semiotis, yeah.
Semiotis, okay.
Do we have the ad, Jasmine?
If,
Yeah.
Jasmine, if you could do the same throughout the meeting for me tonight, thank you.
You got it. Sorry, give me just a second while it pulls up.
Yep.
And Jasmine, also on this one, I've told Jeffrey Paulette that I will give him screen sharing capabilities for his presentation.
Absolutely. Sorry, give me just a second. It's slow to load. This is big file. Is he on the line?
I am.
Yep, he's here.
Like I just have the green cards in here. Let me see if I can pull it on the website.
I know the ad somewhere.
Here we go. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, and the Town of Bridgewater Local Wetland Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing held as a virtual meeting will resume. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing is on a notice of intent filed by Semiotis Consultants, Inc. The applicant proposes a redevelopment of intent of the George H. Mitchell Elementary School. The property is owned by the town of Bridgewater and is located at 500 South Street, Bridgewater, Mass. Map 62, parcel 19. Please contact the Bridgewater Conservation Office for the hearing date and time. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
You are now open. Thank you.
So I'd like to hand it off to Jeff, give him the screen share capabilities so he can present this. My goal of tonight is to get a couple of the commissioners have been out to the site for a site walk. This has been in the works for quite a long time. All town boards are involved, obviously, with the scope of the project. So tonight's mainly just a presentation to show everybody what's going on. And then in 2 weeks, as we get more information as a result of this meeting, hopefully move forward. So I'll let you take it over, Jeff.
Thanks, Steve. Will I be doing the screen share on off my computer?
Yes.
Yes,
Okay.
I just added you as a co-host, so if you just touch the green button on the bottom that says screen share.
Let me know if everybody can see that.
It says you, yep.
Yep, there you go.
We're good.
All right, we'll start with the second set of sheet of plans here. Good evening, everybody. I am Jeffrey Pelot from Samiotis Consultants, the civil engineer for the project. We are proposing the new Mitchell Elementary School building to be sited within the existing 500 Street building location with an expanded footprint. The proposed school is 3 stories high. It will house 740 kindergarten to 2nd grade students plus 240 pre-K students. There is a 2-story classroom wing on the west end of the building, 3-story core facility, classroom wing on the east end of the proposed building. The new building will be serviced with a majority of the new utilities from South Street, with the building oriented as close as possible to the east-west axis and as far north as the existing wetland resources will allow. This was done to open up the interior of the site for parking, the parent loop, and a south-facing outdoor play and learning zone. The main entrance to the school will remain from South Street, with the driveway looping around the school for school buses, emergency safety access, and then ultimately connecting to the senior center, Wally Kruger Way, and then out to Bedford Street. There are 3 main parking areas located north, south, and west. In order to accommodate the district sign-out policy of dismissal, a great deal of thought went into refinement of the traffic flows to ensure that the site congestion and safety issues that existed in the former school were addressed. New walkways are provided to meet MAB ADA regulations. Play areas also will be ADA accessible with poured-in-place rubber surfacing. Throughout the site, new plant materials will be composed of native species fitting with the town of Bridgewater and the region. Flowering shrubs and trees will be provided to provide the site with color and augmented with grass that will embody the meadows of Bridgewater. The wetland resource areas were delineated in November 14th, 2018, and then reflagged and redelineated January 28th, 2020. They are shown in teal on the plan. They are located to the north and east of the school building. There's also a potential resource area to the east of the senior center building. This area is called out as a pond and is currently used for stormwater management for the senior center, as there are drain lines designated as inlets and outlets of this basin. The work within Wally Kruger Way and this area is to replace the existing asphalt in kind with no impacts to the resource area. Overall for the project, there's no work proposed in the BVW. The buffers shown are the 25-foot buffer is shown in red. The 50-foot buffer is shown in purple. 100-foot is in green. The wetland buffer zones consist of mixed use. Majority of the area have been previously disturbed, containing parts of the existing building, existing Wally Kruger Way, portions of the school drive, paved parking lots, hardscape, and landscaped areas. Construction has been proposed outside of the buffer zones to the maximum extent feasible given the site constraints and location of the existing wetlands. Proposed construction within the buffer zone will include demolition of the existing building, parking lots, grading, tree removal, and subsequently construction of portions of the proposed building, access drives, parking lots, play areas, and landscape area. Proposed work within the 25-foot buffer, which is shown in red, consists of replacing the existing bituminous walk that connects the senior center to the school with a paved drive to provide school buses access to Bedford Street. There is an existing 12-inch cast iron culvert that connects the intermittent streams. It is proposed to be replaced with an open bottom box culvert. Any potential impact to the inland bank resource would be below 50 linear feet or 10% of the total bank resource significant to protection of wildlife habitat. To mitigate the potential adverse impacts on the resource area by work in the buffer zones during construction, we've created a detailed soil erosion control plan. Put that up. The 50-foot buffer zone is shown in purple. As you can see, the proposed building is outside of the 50-foot buffer, meeting the town bylaw. During the flagging of the resource areas, we identified a stream that was on the northern and eastern portion of the site, identified as the Stop River. The inner and outer riparian of this area from the stream is shown in blue and hatched. There is no work within the inner riparian. There's 185,930 square feet of riverfront area within this property. Proposed work within the outer riparian includes a new impervious area, which is the northern parking lot and walls, totaling to 13,140 square feet of disturbed area, which is a lot less than the 10% allowable disturbance. Okay, back to the proposed here real quick. We've reviewed floodplain information for the site. There is no 100-year floodplain zone A within the limit of work. The site is located within a zone 2 interim wellhead protection area for groundwater resource. All stormwater discharging to zone 2 will meet the 44% pretreatment requirement, and the proposed discharge will not impair existing water uses and will not result in any in a level of water quality less than specified. For the soil erosion control plan, we are showing catch basin filters at the existing structures. Straw water will silt fence around this area of disturbance. Okay. As part of our design process for stormwater mitigation management system, a soil test pit investigation was done on May 8th and 12th of 2020. Soils were found to consist of hydrological B soils conducive to infiltration. The existing stormwater is managed by depressions and basins, of which some of them have been flagged as wetlands now. The stormwater within the existing parking lots sheet into catch basins and outlet to the wetlands. The building the roof drains outlet also to the same wetland, and the remainder sheets to the various surrounding wetlands and intermittent stream, which are all hydrologically connected on the east and north side. The proposed stormwater management systems, which are shown in green, consists of catch basins in the parking areas, and these are routed to 3 main infiltration systems where they're allowed to percolate into the soil and then ultimately overflow into the wetland areas. The objective of the stormwater management system is to mitigate any increase in peak storm runoff rates due to the construction of the proposed project. With our proposed stormwater management system, we've significantly reduced the peak flows for all storm events. We meet all the stormwater standards, the DEP standards, with this proposed design. And we believe that this design will be a great improvement to the site and surrounding area. And with that, concludes the presentation.
Thank you, Jeff.
Do I need to unshare?
Yes, please.
There we
Thank
go.
you. All right, so as I said, I walked the site with Harry and Marilyn. It's been a luxury to be part of the site plan review, to put in input as this project has been developed. All the people that have been part of the development team have really thought about all the impacts they have on the various town boards and departments with this project. So as it's presented today, I am all for the project. I know it meets the performance standards as far as my understanding goes. I like the improvement of the open box culvert as opposed to the 12-inch cast iron pipe that leads that detention basin down to that small intermittent stream that runs down or runs north of Wally Kruger, or the connection there through the sidewalk. So overall, I do think it is a net improvement of the site for various reasons, including drainage, which will have impacts on the wetlands in the surrounding area. But like I said, I want to make sure that a project of this scope gets the proper attention and proper oversight and the proper optics for the residents of the town. So with that, I'll give it back to the commissioners and let Marilyn handle it.
All right. As you said, Steve, I was out with you the other day. I actually myself liked what I saw too. The existing crossing is already there, and to get emergency access is great. I really didn't see any issues out there with any wetlands. I'm in agreement. It's a good project, and a lot of stuff getting better out there. So no issues at this time. And I know Harry was out there, so I'll go to him next.
Okay, I'm in agreement with, there's been a lot of improvements and everything looks good. I like the idea of upgrading the box culvert. And I didn't see any other issues. Thank you.
Eileen, you haven't been out there, is that correct?
That's correct.
Okay, well, she can have a chance to get out there, but again, I'll reinstate that everything I saw, I did like. So at this time, I'll give it back to Steve.
So if there's anyone from the public that would like to comment at this time, I'm going to leave this one open a little bit longer so that anyone has any Conservation Commission related questions can raise them now and hopefully have them answered. Well, that's surprising. Okay. As I led off with, I'd like to, if the applicant's okay with it, allow 2 more weeks to pass to have Eileen get a chance to go out and see the site. I know that a zoo probably has to take a look at the stormwater management
That was
plan.
going to be my next question, so thank you, Steve, yep.
Yep. So he will be doing the review on that. Jeff, you may have more information as far as if he has reviewed that at this point or not. That's out of my scope, so.
We have not received comment from a zoo at this time.
Okay, so we will have to wait on that comment regardless before we move forward with an order of conditions. So that being said, I did not see any comments from the public. If the applicant is okay for continuing for 2 weeks and regrouping, hopefully we can reach out to a zoo and get his comments on the stormwater management plan.
That works for us.
Get some people to, if they would like to see the site, now that they have seen the presentation and see sort of what the vision is out there, see the improvements that are potentially being proposed for out there, feel free to call me to set up a time. Other than that, I would just like to ask the commission to grant the continuance for 2 weeks, and I recommend it.
So at this time, Chair would entertain a motion, please?
A motion to continue the hearing for 2 weeks to a date. Jasmine, do you have the next?
June 25th, is that?
25th.
25th, okay, to the 25th at 6:30 PM.
Second.
All right, here in a second, any further discussion?
Roll call, please.
I'm sorry, what was that?
Roll call, please.
Hearing none, we'll do a roll call vote. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
All right, that is continued to June 25th. Thank you.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, continuing under new business, we're going to go with request for determination of applicability for Department of Corrections. Jasmine, if you can.
Jasmine, you're muted.
Keeping you guys on your toes. In accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing will be on a request for determination of applicability filed by Cody, I apologize, Buchalter. The applicant proposes to construct a 12-foot wide new paved asphalt access roadway and approximately 175 feet by 80 feet paved parking facility to replace the existing dirt access parkway and parking area. The approximate route to the new access roadway will closely follow the existing gravel and dirt roadway. A 2-foot wide gravel shoulder on the north side and approximately 8-foot rock-lined swale on the south side of the roadway will act as water catchment, conveyance, and filtration area for any runoff. The existing outlet locations will be enhanced with rock outlet protection. An additional 8-foot wide area adjacent to the gravel roadway shoulder will be seeded with grasses native to the area, and requests a determination from the Commission whether the work depicted on the plan is subject to jurisdiction under the Wetlands Protection Act and the Town of Bridgewater Wetland Bylaw Act. The property is owned by MCI and SECC Department of Corrections and located across the street from 605 Conant Ave in Bridgewater, Mass, as shown on Assessor's Map 90, parcel 999C. Please contact the Bridgewater Conservation Department for the hearing date and time. All interested persons are encouraged to attend.
All right, thank you, Jasmine. You are now open.
Cody, I'm going to unmute you or ask you to unmute.
Okay. Hi, for the record, my name is Cody Buchalter. I am with the firm NV5 representing the Massachusetts Department of Correction. I also have Elisa Tsang, our environmental engineer, and Ashley Medius, our environmental scientist from NV5 on the call as well. You basically did the presentation for me by reading that. Thank you, but I can reiterate that the project is located across the street from 605 Conant Street. I also have actually prepared a presentation. I don't know if
Yeah,
I should.
I can give you screen share capabilities.
Yeah, that would, it might be helpful.
That'd be great.
Let's see. Okay, can you see my screen?
Yep.
All right. So this is my first Conservation Commission hearing. And so I prepared a little presentation to give you a better idea of the project location. It's in the Department of Correction at North Colony, Old Colony Correction Facility. Here's a picture depicting the wetlands and proximity of the proposed project. There are basically two that are that are relatively close to the proposed project, and this is an overall key map that encompasses the entire project limits. As you can see over here, all the proposed work is outside of the 100-foot wetland buffer zone. This is the closest. This is Conant Street right here, and this is the closest area to the wetland buffer zone, about 25 feet from the proposed asphalt road. And then this is the other area concern where we're almost 250 feet away from the existing 100-foot wetland buffer zone. Basically, the proposed asphalt access road is in the same envelope as the existing dirt and gravel road. And we are adding an 8-foot rockline swell on the low point of the roadway that conveys the water to existing low points. And then we additionally have enhanced rockline or outlet protection, stone line outlet protection. And the horizontal and vertical geometry are basically the same. And erosion control is being applied throughout the entirety of the project to protect the natural resources around the project site. And that's basically it.
All right, Steve, I'll refer the presentation back to you.
Yes, and I know that we may have some residents here that are concerned because of receiving a notice so close to the meeting. If we could just get back to the screen where I can.
I'll stop sharing.
Okay, thank you. So I know a lot of people are probably confused because they probably saw those plans and noticed that all of the work proposed is actually outside the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. Now, they used rough estimates of where the wetlands lines were based on orthos and other mapping resources. There are portions of the project where it does get close to the buffer zone, right on the fringe of that 100-foot buffer zone, which is within the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. So therefore, the necessity of filing a request for determination of applicability if it does in fact impact the Wetlands Protection Act. Now, the project was done already. It was paved. And that was because there are budget concerns with the end of the fiscal year coming up at the end of June. I don't know if we have Giovanni from OCC here. That might be him at the bottom, but I've been in conversation with both Cody and Giovanni leading up to this, and I allowed them administratively to proceed with work that was outside of the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission, as would be standard of any proposal made in the town. If it's not in my jurisdiction, therefore, they can continue. So there was question as to where some of this project might overlap into that area. No work has occurred in those areas. I was on site directly after the paving on Tuesday. So therefore, with that all being said, I recommend a negative determination. I'm sorry for the late notification on the abutters, because I think what that did was cause some awareness. People were kind of asking what was going on. Is this project, so we're just here to try to clarify for you and give you the reasons why the project proceeded as it did. So that being said, I recommend a negative determination, seeing as it does not fall within the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. And I'll give it back to Marilyn for them to proceed.
All right, thanks, Steve. That was a good clarification. It was existing. I saw no issues during the presentation anyway, so I will refer anything further to Harry and Eileen at this time.
I have no issues with it. I know the property. I know exactly where it is. And obviously, if it's outside of our jurisdiction, it's outside.
Yeah. Okay, Harry?
I'm all set with it.
All right. With that being said, Chair would entertain a motion for a negative.
Hold on a second. Can we just open up to the public?
Yep, I forgot the public. Anybody on that has a question on this filing, please?
This is Kathy Glaze. So the pictures that they show do not depict all the work that was done. So there was an additional road that was piece that was cut into the road on Conant Street. And I also want to know, where do we find out about the impact of water runoff onto Conant Street from the new road that they just put in there?
The Highway Department. That's outside the Conservation Commission's jurisdiction. Can you please, Jasmine, can we bring up the plan again?
Hey, this is Cody. I could show you a plan that has more contours to show the grade.
Oh, I know. Yeah, I know what she's talking about. So this area down that this offshoot that is in your presentation. So that triangular section, is that what you're talking about, ma'am?
Yes,
That area right there. Okay. Yes, that was paved as well. Again, that is also outside the jurisdiction of the Conservation Commission. So therefore, just because it's not on the plan doesn't make this permit application invalid. As far as the paving and runoff concerns go, that's why the riprap's being put in. It's an overall net improvement for also dust control. I know that that was a problem in the area. If you have concerns about the water and where it's running off, I would probably contact the highway department because they are more apt to be able to answer those questions. That's outside of my scope as far as road engineering goes.
Okay, thank you, Steve. Any further questions?
Seeing none?
Yeah. All right. Chair would entertain the motion.
Motion for the negative determination, correct?
Correct.
Okay, I'll make a motion for the negative determination for the property on across from 605 Conan Street, Bridgewater.
Second.
All right, here in a second, any further discussion? At this time, we'll take a roll call vote. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
All right, so that's a negative determination outside our jurisdiction. Thank you.
Thank you.
So much.
All right, we have one more item under new business, another request for determination of applicability of 360 Grange Park, Kobalaga?
Kobialka?
Kobialka, yes.
If, Jasmine, if you can read that into the record to open, please?
Yep, in accordance with Massachusetts General Laws, Chapter 131, Section 40, in the Town of Bridgewater Local Bylaw, the Bridgewater Conservation Commission will hold a public hearing held as a virtual meeting over Zoom. A link and instructions to participate in the meeting will follow and be posted to the calendar on the town's website at www.bridgewaterma.org. A recording of the meeting will also be posted to the town's webpage within 48 hours after the meeting ends. The hearing will be on a request for determination of applicability filed by Stephen Kobialka. The applicant proposes to extend deck and install an above-ground pool and requests a determination from the commission whether the work depicted on the plan is subject to jurisdiction under the Wetlands Protection Act and Town of Bridgewater Wetland Bylaw. The property is owned by Stephen Kobialka and located at 360 Grange Park, Bridgewater, MA, shown as Assessor's Map 61, Parcel 42. Please contact the Bridgewater Conservation Department for the hearing date and time.
Thank you. All right, you are now open.
Thank you, everybody, for having this meeting this evening and allowing us a chance to speak. My name is Stephen Kobialka, and next to me is my beautiful wife, Carrie. I'd also like to thank specifically Jasmine and Steve Sobel for their help guiding us through this process. As was read, we are looking to install a 24-foot above-ground pool at our property, 360 Grange Park. The pool is planned to be on a clearing, an open clearing next to our existing deck. And we wanted to have a smaller deck that would lead down to the above ground pool. So much smaller project in scale than some of the projects we heard from this evening, but we wanted to make sure that we were following all the rules and so forth of the town.
Okay, thank you. I did see that earlier on my notes, and I'm going to refer this to Steve.
Yep. So I've met out on site with the Kobialkas a few times. This all started right when the quarantine sort of started. So it's been a while, going back and forth on the site and whatnot. So this is another request for determination of applicability. This project, as you can see by the plan, is shown to be all in the buffer zone of the wetland. There's a couple of isolated wetlands in that area that says it's a pond, but it's typically, it basically is an isolated land subject to flooding. And then it shows some other BVW in the area, but that's not necessarily the case. If you go down to that picture where the trees are shown, you can kind of see that it's actually upland behind there. So in general, and you can also see the lawn. So that's the type of area that the pool is actually going to be installed in, is a green lawn area. So, you know, one of my big pushes in my career during my time as a conservation agent has been to limit the amount of fertilizer use, and anything to enhance green lawns. So anytime I get a chance to see a project that will take away that green space in that form, I kind of usually go for it. Now, these trees that have arrows on them, you can see that they are leaning towards the yard. These are trees that the Kobialkas would also like to remove because they will become hazardous to the pool. As it stands now, they're probably pretty close that if they were to come down, they would hit the deck that is existing there now. So in order to maintain their investment and the safety of that investment, they'd like to remove these trees and only these trees. You can see that obviously it's a very forested area behind them. It's very natural. I'm not against seeing those trees come down for safety reasons. And I would hate to see anyone make an investment and have it be damaged by those trees if they were to come down. And that would stand for pretty much any project. So I am in agreement with those trees coming down. You can see a couple of them are struggling even. These are recent pictures too. You can see health-wise, that one, the small one in the middle is kind of struggling. So for a couple of reasons, it might be nice to just thin them out, allow some more resources to be used by the other trees that are also growing in the area. That all being said, I recommend a negative determination in this case because I think it's a net overall gain, both for the resident and the Conservation Commission. We get rid of some green area that would otherwise be mowed and fertilized and whatnot. So it's a net gain for us. And I wish the Kobialkas the best enjoying their pool this summer.
And I hear it's going to be So I did look at this earlier. I have no issues. I refer rest to commission members.
I have no issues.
I'm all set, no issues.
Okay. Anybody with a question or comment on this filing? Steve, I'll wait for you to give me the all clear.
Yeah, I'm just checking the visuals to see if make sure no one's raising their hand on their camera. And seeing none, go ahead, Marilyn, for a roll call.
All right, Chair would entertain a motion at this time for a negative determination.
Make a motion for a negative determination on 360 Grange Park, Bridgewater.
Second,
All right, here in second. Any further discussion? Hearing none, we'll do a roll call. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen.
Eileen?
Oh, I said Eileen Pris.
Oh, you were cutting in and out.
Oh, you were cutting in and out. Okay. All right. Okay, so roll call in. That is a negative determination. Enjoy your pool.
Thank you very much,
Good luck.
everyone. Have a nice evening.
Thank you.
guys. You all.
Thank you. We'll be in touch.
Okay, we did table the first one, Harley Lane. Is anybody from the Commission of Mass Division of Fisheries and Wildlife in?
I'm not seeing anyone. I do have email correspondence from earlier this week and earlier in these proceedings saying that a continuance to this date of June 11th was fine and any other date after that. I will send that out to you commissioners tomorrow morning. I think it is what we can do is we can grant a continuance. I will follow up with the applicant tomorrow to make sure that they agree with that. And then we will hear them on the 25th and I'll make sure they're there to present.
All right, sounds good. Do we need to make a motion on that or is that just an administration thing you can do?
I'll do it administratively, so we'll just continue them out for 2 weeks.
Sounds good. Table times 2 weeks. All right, that completes everything under old and new business. Now we're going to move into conservation business. And first we have on certificate of compliance extension request 438 Summer Street, Outback Engineering.
Hello?
Hello?
Yeah.
Hi, it's Greg Maroney.
Hey, Greg.
Hi. It's owned by Maroney Building and Contracting. I'm the president of the company. I'm just looking for an extension. I have already received an extension for road completion. I've gone as far as I can. without building the houses, with completing the road. So I'll have a little bit, I just gotta put the second, last binder, not binder coat, but the final coat on the road, which I won't do until I build the houses on that street, on Firefly Lane. So I just need to extend the order conditions till I complete the project.
Okay, thank you. Steve, I'll refer to you. Have you been out there? I mean, if they haven't finished their work,
Yeah, I mean, this is an order of conditions that's been around for a while now, and the applicant is asking for an extension for just time, and the work's not done yet. So everything, the order of conditions thus far, the applicant more time to complete the project.
all right. I have no issues. If they need more time, I'll refer to the rest of the conservation members.
I have no issues
No issues.
with the extension. Yeah.
Yes, it's just an extension. They need more time.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Do I need to put this one on for public comment, Steve?
Might as well.
All right. Anybody on the extension request for 438 Summer Street have a comment?
Any hands raised?
Seeing none?
Okay. Chair would entertain a motion for the certificate of compliance extension, please.
Or,
Motion to.
no. Extension of an order of conditions. Not a certificate of
Yes,
compliance.
right. Yep. No, make a motion to extend the order of conditions.
Compliance, sorry.
Do we usually do a year?
There was a date requested in the letter.
Okay. So to the,
3 years.
it's gonna,
3 years.
3-year extension.
Mhm. Yes, please.
so it's till October 12th of 2023.
Yeah, so it would
Correct.
expire this October, so it would go another 3 years if they extend.
One motion. Harry?
Harry, you there?
Yeah, he's muted though.
Not muted.
Harry?
Yeah, I'm back. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yep.
Harry, we did a motion on the compliance for extension. Certificate of compliance. Second, okay. All right, any further discussion?
Order of conditions.
Hearing none, we'll do a roll call. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
All right, thank you. That's extended for 3 years. Good luck.
Thank you.
Look.
Okay, next we're gonna go into request for certificate of compliance, 0 South Street, J Leach.
Steve, is anyone gonna be on for Jay?
I am not
I don't see anyone.
seeing anyone for Jay, but we can still talk about it
Okay.
because the request has been filed. And I think Miss Doherty is here and she would like to comment. So basically what we have here, just to give the commission a brief update on what's going on here at 0 South Street. This specific certificate of compliance, outside of everything else, it applies only to the wetland restoration effort. So if you take the other things out of the equation, this applies to strictly the planting area. Now, I've been on site with Harry, I've been on site with Marilyn, and we have seen the site, and there's a number of plants that are struggling within the restoration area that will probably need to be replaced. It's been my method over my career to allow 2 growing seasons on restoration projects, specifically when dealing with plants, to see if they take and if they need to be replaced. So therefore, I am not seeing compliance with the restoration plan as it was laid out to this point. So therefore, I don't think it would be wise for the commission to issue a certificate of compliance.
Okay. I mean, I agree, having gotten out there, it definitely needs at least a two-year growing season. It's not in compliance with restoration. It was holding water with minimal rainfall that day. It just, the plants were struggling, so it definitely needs more time to be a functioning wetland. Harry?
I'm in agreement with that. I saw a couple of dead bushes or plantings that need to be replaced, so
Yeah, they need to.
it needs another year anyway.
Yep, I'm on board with that.
Okay. All right. Anybody have a comment on this?
Artie, I'm gonna unmute you. Mrs. Doherty?
Yep, you got to unmute, Ma.
Okay.
There you go.
I guess what happens going forward? Like, you have 2 growing seasons, so you wait another year, and then what happens after that?
Well, we'll go back out and make sure it's a functioning wetland area. It has to be functioning before we can sign off on it. It has to be a working wetland area that they restore.
Okay, so then I guess my question was on number 4 of the Amendment A, said that until the until the required wetland restoration work had been completed and inspected and approved, no site development work could begin on lot 1 and lot 3. And there's a house on lot 1, so I just
Yeah, no, and this is becoming sort of the root of this issue.
Yeah.
Because how the restoration plan is tied to the development of the site is very tricky to navigate, because we don't want to impede the applicant from being able to develop their property, but we also have to make sure they comply with the Wetlands Protection Act.
Yeah.
So what's happened to this point, as I explained to you in our correspondence, the town had moved to an electronic permitting system. I was new at the time. The building permit for that building that is there now fell through the cracks. It was signed off on. And so that has done has refocused me and my department into keeping a closer eye on these things as we move forward. As projects come up on that specific parcel and this specific area, I'm not going to say they're going to receive more attention than anyone else, but they will be closely attended to, because it's our responsibility to make sure that everybody's in compliance with the orders that were issued. So this point moving forward, we're going to make sure we do that. We're going to try to do that. But we also have to consider the fact that this restoration plan, if it were to never be able to take place and simply the ground is just not fit for a restoration project, then you're stopping development. And that becomes a issue in itself, because a person has a right, if they're meeting all the other regulations that are required for the Wetlands Protection Act, and wetlands restoration needs to be completely finished. And if you start putting homes around it and then all of a sudden the restoration area becomes damaged again, then we're stuck in a bad spot too. You see what I'm saying?
Well, I guess my question is that was there, for a reason to restore it. So are you saying it wouldn't have to be restored?
No, it's going to be restored. And that's the action the commission is taking tonight, is to give it another growing season, because the applicant is asking for this file to be closed out so that they can get the deed cleared up of this filing. So that's what a certificate of compliance does. So until the commission grants that, this stays on their deed with the property. So that's ultimately something a applicant will want to get off the deed. Until the commission is happy with what is being put forth, the effort as far as the restoration goes, and as Marilyn mentioned, the function of the area as a wetland, then that permit, that certificate of compliance will not be granted.
So where does that leave the builder? Where does that leave the house now that's there?
The house that's there now,
Yeah, I mean, it's built.
it's built, right?
Yeah.
It leaves us where we will pay closer attention to the other two sites that are available there to build.
Yeah. Who owns those two sites, lot 2 and lot 3?
Do not know.
Yeah. Okay. I didn't know whether that land had been sold or whether they still have the same owners or who owns them.
Yeah, I'm sure you could do a search at the assessor's office and find that out pretty easily.
Okay. All right. So, okay. I guess my concern from the very beginning, you know, this has been like going back to 2018.
Right.
I honestly just, the whole thing it's next to me and I didn't want water in my cellar. You know, that's the whole.
No, I understand.
Yeah.
I understand.
So going forward, you have, the wetland has another year to grow, and then you'll check it in a year and see how it is. And if it isn't growing well, what happens?
We will still recommend that the plants be uprooted, replanted. Maybe a reconfiguration of the area is needed in order for the plants to grow better so that they're not growing in standing water. You know, these restoration projects can take years. So, and that was my confusion when looking at this order of conditions and seeing that language. You're essentially putting the wetlands restoration portion of this project ahead of everything else. And that could take 3, 4, 5 years to solve correctly.
And the restoration wasn't started till about September. So, you know, it doesn't leave much time for it to get acclimated before winter comes. I mean, it doesn't seem like the best planting time.
Yeah, I mean, I've seen successful projects planted in the fall during my career. Okay. It depends on a lot depends on the plant stock that's chosen. A lot depends on the plants that are chosen. I mean, the plants that are in this order of conditions are applicable and appropriate to this project and this site. They're just not healthy, and that could come. It could come from lack of water or too much water, or the drainage in the area, what's coming off the street, too much siltation. There's so many factors that play into a restoration project that's why they take years to actually perfect. You know, it's not really an exact science. Whereas building a home and developing a site is pretty exact. I mean, you know what you're going to get when you do that, as opposed to a restoration project where sometimes it takes 2 or 3 years of growing seasons to see what's actually going to hold. You know, hopefully the progression I've typically seen with projects like this are year 1 are tough. You replace what's needs to be replaced. By year 2, you have a pretty good 75 to 80% success rate. And then by year 3, you really start to see it take hold. As long as it's maintained correctly and, you know, people are aware of when the plants need water, when they need addressing. So those are all things that we'll have to be cognizant of moving forward.
So until like lot 3, which would be the one next to me, can that be approved before the wetland gets approved?
It can be applied for.
Yeah.
And so, and that's what will happen. So in relation to that site, it will require a notice of intent to develop that site. So you'll have to go through the entire process of the public hearing process again. So you'll be, you know, notified of a public hearing. You'll be able to make your, you know, say your piece of, well, this isn't done over here, or this is done to my satisfaction, or as long as it's done to the Conservation Commission's satisfaction, I'm happy with it.
Okay. So that number 4, where it says no site development work on lots 1 and 3 can be initiated until, you know, the wetlands approved. That doesn't matter anymore? Or?
It's not that it doesn't matter. It was missed this time.
Okay, yeah. But for lot 3, it wouldn't be missed because you'd be paying attention or you know about it.
I'm more aware of the site and the specifics of the site now, yes.
Okay, all right.
I can't guarantee what will happen in 2 weeks. I can't guarantee what's going to happen tomorrow. But in the case of this, I can assure you that the proper monitoring and observance of the order of conditions will be followed. Now, I can't tell you how those proceedings will go because I simply don't know.
Yeah, but if anything came up about it, I would be notified. Would I be notified by mail or how would I be notified?
So in the case of a notice of intent, you'd be notified by registered mail, certified mail.
Okay, that's good. Okay. All right.
And I'll make sure to kind of keep you in the loop regardless, so.
Well, I appreciate that.
Yep.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any further questions on this? Okay, Steve, that being said, I would entertain a motion in this case for denial of compliance.
Yeah, and we'll have to reach out to Jay Leach on that anyways and convey that information, so.
Yeah, I did take pictures, but unfortunately my phone was lost. You know, the plants were definitely struggling out there and many were dead, so.
Yeah, I've been documenting, so.
All right. Okay. All right. Can I have a motion, please?
I want to do a motion for,
Second.
correct?
I didn't hear, say that again?
For an order of conditions.
No, certificate of compliance.
I'm sorry, it says order of conditions in front of me. All right, so we're making a motion to deny certificate of compliance from the
Request.
David J. Leach, trustees of South Street Realty Trust, on the SE 1161423 DEP number 0 South Street, map 74, parcel 39.
Second.
Or a second, any further discussion before roll call? All right, roll call, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
All right, thank you. All right, next is a request for certificate of compliance, 50 Lady Slipper Road, Silva Engineering Associates. Steve?
Yep, I know that, is it Rebecca here to represent? Okay. Go ahead.
Well, I was going to say, this is one of those that has been around for a very long time.
Mm.
And it was discovered that as the homeowners were wishing to sell, that they had an open order from 1990, what was that, 80, when was that? I forget the date. So it's just one of those that's been hanging around forever and the deed caught up with them.
Yeah. Yeah, it's, this one came out of the blue, came out of left field. It's very old, as Rebecca said. This is more just a paperwork process. You can't even really tell that the order of conditions that we're giving or that I will recommend giving a certificate of compliance to, what the that the work was done when.
Yeah.
That's how old it is. So I recommend issuing this certificate of compliance so that they can clean up their deed.
Okay, all right, thank you, Steve. And obviously you've checked it out, been out there. Any comments from the commissioners, please?
Nope, just an old outstanding that they never signed off on. The house is for sale.
Yep.
Can't sell it without getting rid of it.
Anybody with a question?
I'm fine with it.
Please. All right. Steve, I got the green light?
Yeah.
Okay, Chair would entertain a motion?
Motion to approve an order of conditions, correct? Or COC?
COC.
Certificate of compliance for 50 Lady Slip Up Bridgewater.
Okay.
Second.
Yeah.
Aaron, a second. Any further discussions before roll call? Aaron, none. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Mitchell.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
All right. Okay. Moving on to the next is request for certificate of compliance for 220 Nolan Park, SE 116-1220, Silver Engineering Associates, please.
So 1220 and the next one, 1290, go hand in hand.
We could do them hand in hand up then.
Okay, so when we did, this is Nolan Park Extension, and this is lot number 6. And so when we developed these lots, we did a driveway plan first for 6, 5, and 2, I believe, because the driveways were so long and they wanted to put them in before they developed the houses. So the first one, I'm not even sure which one, if it was 1220 or 1290, was simply the first 100 feet or so of driveway that would cross into the buffer zone. The other open order is the construction of the house, the septic, the rest of the driveway, and the lot in general. So when we first sent this in for approval, it was 2013. For some reason, this whole subdivision kind of just went really slow, and closing out is now starting to happen on especially lot 6, because again, they're trying to sell. The developer is actually trying to do subdivision closeout now as well. So he's finally put down final pavement, and he's going to be seeking the town approval. So this is another one of those reasons it delayed. Based on the design, the only thing that really changed was the placement of the house. Everything else, they've got the drainage in place. I'm not sure how well maintained. I really haven't been out there in a while, although it looks pretty good in the picture. They're just looking to close out of their open order for their single family home and septic and driveway.
Okay, thanks, Rebecca. Steve, have you been out there? Any comments?
Yep. As Rebecca explained, very straightforward. Another one that got lost in the quarantine. Has been sitting in the office for a while. Mainly just a procedural issue at this point, trying to clear things off of people's deeds and subdivision plans. So in the case of this one, I recommend an approval on both SE 116-1220 and SE 116-1290.
Any comments from the commissioners?
None.
Any
No,
comments?
yeah, no, fine.
All right. Chair would entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve the COCs for SE 116-1220 and SE 116-1290. Is that correct?
220
I
Nolan
didn't
Park.
have, it just showed up on my, yeah.
Second.
Aaron, a second. Any discussion before roll call? Aaron, none. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
All right, very good. Thank you.
Thank you. Good night.
Good night. Next, we have
Good night.
requested certificate of compliance for 200 Beach Street.
Yeah, it looks like we don't have anyone, but this one's really straightforward, so I will explain it. This is a Collins engineering project. Jasmine came out to the site with me, so she's familiar with this one. This was for a septic repair. It happened over the winter. The only thing we were waiting on was the grass to take hold in the front yard, and for stabilization reasons, because there's a small isolated wetland down gradient of the front yard that's probably about 75 to 100 feet away. And the remainder of the site also has some wetlands on it. But this is really just in the buffer zone, and we were really just waiting for stabilization. Otherwise, we would have approved it earlier. Since the warm weather has hit, the grass has come in, and the front yard is now stable, and there's no erosion potential, or very minimal at best. Therefore, I recommend approval.
Okay. Sounds straightforward. I have no issues or questions. Commissioners?
None.
No, I'm good.
All right. Any other further questions?
There's no one else on.
Okay, well, all right, let's keep going. Yeehaw! Chair would entertain a motion.
All right, so 200 B Street, make a motion for a approval of, I'm not seeing it on my screen. Oh, here it comes. COC, is it?
Yep, COC.
Sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
200 Beach Street, Bridgewater.
You got it.
Second.
All right, here in a second. Any further discussion before roll call? Hearing none. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
All right. Issue of compliance. Okay, we're down to, according to mine, the last on is request for certificate of compliance for 15 Old Pleasant Street.
1,500.
1,500.
1,500, I was gonna say.
1,500.
Okay.
Steve,
Yep.
is that you? Nobody else?
This one, I met with the homeowner on site. And actually, Harry, you're familiar with this site. This is the long winding driveway with the box culvert that leads back to the property that's set back in the woods that we had looked at when I had first started. So he's seeking a certificate of compliance. The erosion and siltation is still, controls are still in place. I don't see any erosion potential out there. He's got, some more work to do. It's on the fringes of the buffer zones. For all intents and purposes, the main portion of this project was that stream crossing or the wetland crossing, which is now a pretty nice box culvert with a roadway over it. And so the homeowner is very happy with the way everything came out. The town's very happy. It's come in nicely during the spring here. So with that being said, I recommend approval of the certificate of compliance for 1,500 Old Pleasant Street for Mr. Dondero.
Sounds good for me. I have no issues or questions on it. Commissioners?
Oh, I'm good.
Okay. All right, then Chair would entertain a motion, please.
Make a motion to approve the certificate of compliance for 1,500 Old Pleasant Street rear.
Second.
Here in a second. Sorry about the clock going off in the background. Here in a second. Roll call, please. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
Aye. All right. Okay, so I believe that completes tonight's hearing, correct? Nothing else on my agenda.
What's this about Black Mallard?
There is a revised agenda here.
Oh, I didn't get that.
Mallard Road, and then it's actually 2 pages.
Oh, you know what? I was looking at a different one.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so we still have one more COC request, and then we got to review the minutes.
And the vote to accept electronic signatures if you so choose.
Oh, that's right too. Good. Yeah, don't let me forget that.
So I don't have see the next request for certificate of compliance. Can somebody read that one?
It's for 305 Black Mallard Road, map 69, lot 3, from Collins Engineering.
All right, Steve, you taking that? Nobody else here?
Yeah, this one, the work was never done.
Was never done?
Yeah, I read it today on, it was in the office. I was in the office today. The work as proposed within this order of conditions was never done. They've done work out there since for like a drinking water well. That was an RDA that I later decided was exempt. So I had him withdraw that RDA.
Yep.
On the same location, the same address. If you guys are familiar with the property, you have to go.
Yeah. Is it the new house or the old house?
Yeah, there's like a little tiny, it's the smaller home that's out right by the point. It's a beautiful spot.
Yeah.
Conservation land back there. And they just put in a drinking water well. So, but in the order of, or in the request itself, it says that the work associated with the order of conditions issued here was never done. So,
It says it was never done. I'm reading something different.
what did I read earlier? Did I read the request for, what is that?
What was the all but property addition and septic were never constructed? Oh, okay. I
Do
got
an
it.
issue with compliance for something that was never done?
Well, yeah, because they had to record the order of conditions, so it's still on their deed. So in order to get it off, we have to make sure that, because that is an option on the certificate of compliance request, is that the work was never
Never
completed.
done. Okay. I've never had that. All right.
Yeah, it's one of the ones on there.
I have no issues.
So we have to make a motion to approve the order
Yes.
of conditions?
Approve the certificate of compliance,
Yeah,
This
to
is-
issue
all
the
right,
certificate
okay.
of compliance,
that the work was never done.
that the work was never done.
Okay, so we'll make a motion to approve the certificate of compliance on 305 Black Mellon Road because the work was never completed?
Second.
Sounds wrong.
Karen, any further discussion before roll call?
No.
And roll call. All in favor, Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
Okay. Was that the last certificate of compliance on the agenda?
Yes.
Okay.
And now we have two more items.
Vote that the commission recognizes and accept the provisions of MGL 110G regarding electronic signatures, and its members will henceforth execute documents either with electronic signatures or with wet ink signatures, and that will both carry the same legal weight in effect.
So I know that Jasmine has been keeping you guys in the loop on this, as far as Eileen is going to meet with Jason Rollins tomorrow to provide her signature, which will then be turned into a electronic signature that holds weight so that we don't have to do wet signatures on all the documents.
Okay.
What will the format be, Jasmine?
Jasmine, are you muted?
She's muted.
Sorry, I was yelling at my dog. Can you guys see the form?
Yeah, go ahead.
There? So essentially, this is only for the state of emergency. So once that's called off, this doesn't hold anymore. So
Yep.
what we do is we would draft everything digitally. Now I'd put a /S / and then your full name. And then that's what they would take, that's what the applicant would take to record at the Plymouth County Registry of Deeds.
Okay.
But obviously, we would send anything that was going to be recorded, we would send to you first for your approval, because with something like that, obviously, we don't want you thinking that we would put your names on anything
Yeah.
or everything. So anything that goes out is going to go to the commission first, so you can
Yep.
look at it. If you could even confirm to me in an email, yes, looks good. Just that way we do have a trail that, you know, I showed you guys confirmed that you agreed to it.
Yep. So where is Jason Rawlings?
I
Right on Bedford.
Do you know where it is, Steve?
Yeah, it's right on Bedford Street. It's Rollins and,
ASAC.
yes, ASAC, yeah. Attorneys.
Which one?
Yeah.
An ASAC, that's his wife.
What's the address so I know where to go?
Five Bedford Street.
Okay.
And he said he'll come outside to meet you, so you don't have to go in the building. He'll have a mask on.
Oh, great. Okay, cool.
Okay, do we need to take a vote on this, Steve, for the time being during the state of?
Yes.
Yes, you do.
Okay, Commission Chair would entertain a motion, please.
Motion to approve the electronic signature while under the state of emergency. Does that work?
Yep, works for me. Harry, does that work for you?
Works for me. Second.
All right. Hearing none, we'll do a roll call. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
All right, electronic signatures it is. All right, and now last on the agenda is a review of meeting minutes from February 18th. Wow. I get the copy of those, read them. I have no comments on that. Anybody have a comment on the minutes? I'm fine.
None.
No. I'm good.
All right, hearing none, we'll take a motion to approve the meeting minutes from February 2018. February 18th. Eileen, did you make a motion?
No, did I?
No.
No, I'm making a motion to approve the minutes of the meeting. I'm falling asleep.
All right, well, I took that as a motion. Harry?
Second,
All right, all in favor, roll call. Marilyn McDonald, aye.
Harry Bailey, aye.
Eileen Prisco, aye.
Aye.
Go to bed now.
Okay, I take it we're all set. A motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn. Second.
All in favor, roll call. Together, aye.
Aye. Eileen Prisco, yes.
Well, Steve and Jasmine, thank you so much for orchestrating.
That wasn't too bad.
Yeah, it wasn't too bad. I gotta admit, I had to have my son come over and set me up, but I'll get, more used to it.
Yeah.
All my,
We're going to be doing
not
this
so
for a
bad.
while, so we'll get better at it. But I
Yeah.
think that for the most part, the important things are just the roll calls because that's what's the record.
Right.
The portions of the meeting and the other thing is we are constantly being recorded. So,
Right. Exactly.
we just have to and we're recorded when we do it in person anyway. So
that's
I think
it.
we're all
just be
aware.
Yep.
Yeah. You might get a little bit more lackadaisical since you're sitting at home as opposed to being recorded on TV.
Now that
We're all professionals here, so.
My husband was giving me bunny ears, so I try not to.
And I think it went well, and I appreciate you guys coming, and
Went good.
we'll
All right.
only get better.
We'll get
Okay.
back on track. All right,
Thank you.
You guys did great.
Steve, I'll check in with you in about a week or so.
Okay, sounds great.
All right, thank you, everybody. Have a good night.
Thank you.
All right. Good night.
Bye.
See ya. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye. All right, Mike, how do I get this off?
It leaves.